RCI, Monday to Friday, 12:45 to 2 p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Tuesday the 29th of July 2025 and it is program number 16 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, of course, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. And we are also streaming live on our Facebook page. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. If you want to call and tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. That's our main number here at Radio Caribbean International. But you can also get us on our WhatsApp platform. And that number is 724-0008. You can call into that number or you can message in. And again, that number 724-0008. Now, of course, some birthday greetings going out today. First to Mrs. Julie Peter Crozel. Happy birthday to you, Julie. And we do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Also want to send out birthday greetings to Mrs. Celeste Stava Myers. Happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic birthday. Also, we want to send out some birthday greetings to Mr. Silas Wilson. And I hope you're having a fantastic birthday as well, Silas. And also to Dr. Monique Raggi, Dr. Monique Morplazy Raggi. Happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a wonderful day indeed. Look back in time today in history for the day, and way back in the year 1588, the invincible Spanish Armada was sighted approaching the shores of England, and several skirmishes followed, forcing the invading fleet to make a long and costly retreat around Scotland and Ireland. In the year 1609, on this day, Samuel de Champlain shot and killed 2 Iroquois Indians at Lake Ticonderoga in New York, setting the stage for the French-Iroquois conflicts for the next 150 years. 1848, during the Irish potato famine, saw the Tipperary Revolt, an unsuccessful nationalist revolt against British rule that was put down by the police in Ireland. And 1905, U.S. Secretary of War William Howard Taft made a secret agreement with Japanese Prime Minister Katsura, agreeing to give Japan free rein in Korea in return for non-interference with the U.S. in the Philippines. And in 1921, on this day, Adolf Hitler became a leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. We now head to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also black gas and vanity. Box, dust, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jugosile, and Clark Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, lots to take in, and we've been looking at a number of matters. Of course, we're the week after Carnival, and there's still been quite a lot of discourse in the nation about the performance of Carnival, how it continues to grow as certainly as a product, and as a cultural expression here in St. Lucia. And of course, there is always that challenge in finding the right balance point between the economic desires and the desire to package Carnival and to ensure that it can in fact bring benefits and economic benefits to the island, while of course also maintaining the cultural aspect of the festival, maintaining it as an outlet for venting, for exhaling, for public spectacle, for public enjoyment. And of course, that was the original point of Carnival, and no doubt that it was originally a period of jubilation, because one knew of the forthcoming period, Lenten period, when individuals would have to be making sacrifice. So it was the last great hurrah, so to speak. And it certainly still has that element, but we've certainly also seen the economics of Carnival being put forward much more prominently. And one of the areas certainly is in the idea of people being able to fly in. And Carnival tourism is certainly a thing. There are people from around the world who, in fact, see carnivals as an opportunity to be able to have a good time, and they will certainly pay for that experience. And there are people who will fly all around the world to different parts of Brazil, especially, of course, Rio de Janeiro. There are people who will look to head to Notting Hill in London and experience that, or they may want to take in the Cologne Carnival, or maybe the more traditional Venice Carnival. And of course, cities in North America have also taken up that desire to have their own carnival events, largely driven by Caribbean diaspora, in fact, who have gone and lived in those various cities and who have now transplanted Carnival into those cities. It's interesting, of course, because even when you look at the very notable Carnival that existed in the United States prior to the likes of Labor Day and now, of course, Miami Carnival and Dallas Carnival and these others that have sprouted up, Atlanta Carnival. Before those was the New Orleans Carnival. And New Orleans had that tradition also as a transplant out of the Caribbean. In the late 1700s, 1800s, New Orleans was very much tied to trade with the Caribbean, and in particular that of Haiti. And so a lot of the traditions, a lot of the practices that existed in Haiti were in fact brought out to New Orleans in Louisiana. And so even their carnival, one can say, was a created carnival of the 1800s. It was something that was deliberately brought forward as a means of creating an opportunity for the city at that time to be able to have a good time. And so the Caribbean has been in the business of carnival for quite some time. We seem to know pretty well how to throw a good party. And so right here in St. Lucia, we, of course, are trying to be able to do just that. Now, of course, how it has been performing, as I said, has been seemingly growing significantly. If we think back maybe 30 years ago, if we look back into the 1990s and saw what Carnival was in 1995 versus what it is now in 2025, it is undoubtedly a significantly larger product, and certainly something that has a lot more reach in terms of its global significance. Of course, there have been some decisions that have been taken over the years in that regard. One of them was the matter of the date and time of Carnival. And that, of course, was shifted into the month of July. Like so many other countries in the Caribbean, making that shift, like St. Vincent, like the Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, they've done it, and shifting their carnival date into that period, which of course makes good sense, because it really certainly is a time when a lot more people can travel. It is outside of the main peak winter traffic, and that's important from a touristic perspective, because one couldn't imagine how things are, because already we're seeing how stretched the accommodation sector is in St. Lucia as a result of St. Lucia Carnival. And this is in a period that was traditionally a low peak period, an ebb period within visitor numbers. And so the fact that you're now seeing a month like July rivaling a month like January, February, is really a testament to the strength of the Carnival product. But one could not imagine if we were trying to throw Carnival during that peak winter period in terms of the numbers of rooms, because really we just would not have the capacity, and it really would be a wasted opportunity in much regard. So certainly the shift in the date also allows, of course, for greater participation of young people, a lot of whom would be on their long vacations, whether they're in A-levels or at community college or universities. And it really just gives a lot of opportunity for that segment, that youthful segment, to actually participate very meaningfully in the Carnival festivities. But in addition to that, of course, and the date and giving Carnival its own space, we've also seen a lot more investment in the product. And of course, it's a lot more than $1 million now that is pumped into Carnival. And remember, back in the days, there were debates as to whether, the government should put more money into Carnival. And, and there was a lot of I won't say controversy, but a lot of conversations around this whole idea. And of course, some of it was driven by very puritanical ideals of individuals thinking we shouldn't be spending money on Bacchanal. But of course, we have now seen that it is certainly an important investment that certainly realizes the benefits overall for the country. And that is all going on at the same time now that we're seeing also a significantly expanded Jazz and Arts Festival. And if anything, that is part of the challenge that Carnival is actually facing in terms of its timing right about now. Because you've got the Jazz and Arts Festival in for the better part of May, and of course, by the middle of May, you now have to then begin looking at the ramping up of interest for Carnival. That period is a little bit tight for some people, and there's been arguments about that as well. Issue of course, of how do you maintain good vibes and how do you continue to ensure that the Carnival is different, authentic, is a major debate that is happening, no doubt, in many different watering holes around St. Lucia, and maybe in different groups that are discussing these types of matters. And it is an important conversation to be had, that how do you continue to ensure that the product and is not just a product that could be found in a city in Europe or in an Atlanta or in a Dallas or wherever, but that it is actually a very much unique experience that one could only find in St. Lucia. And that is, of course, a really important aspect. And we know, of course, that a lot of people who head to Trinidad for Carnival, and it certainly is the largest carnival in the Caribbean. And we do know that Jamaica is also trying to, eke out its own carnival experience in the month of April. But the question is, how do we ensure that that the St. Lucian experience is very much a unique one? And one of the criticisms that I noted, in fact, was by somebody who was suggesting that we, in fact, are seeing a lot more of influences coming from other islands. And it's an interesting critique that the individual was making, suggesting that, our carnival is now a bit too much reliant on the external players in the industry. Does he have a point? But let me just share, in fact, this piece, which I thought was pretty interesting indeed. And it's entitled, Are They Coming for Carnival or Just Because It's St. Lucia? Let's be honest, our carnival doesn't feel like ours anymore. The music has been weak for the past few years, the vibes are off, and everything feels overpriced. The streets don't talk about Lucian Carnival with pride like they used to. Truth is, Grenada already feels better than us. And while visually we may still be second only to Trinidad or Barbados in vibes, we're losing fast. This year, if it wasn't for an amateur soca competition, we might not have had any real music to carry this season. Calto's I Cry and Remote's track are the only ones even making a dent, and they're not even coming from mainstream hype. Let's look at the numbers. Nerdy's Warning, 153,000. Remote, 153,000 views. Shemi J. Ping, 10,000. Ricky T and HP, 25,000. Cupid and Ricky T's Run, 17,000. Calto's I Cry, 52,000. Oompa and Mikado's Painkiller, about the same number. Meanwhile, a Jamaican song Dancer is leading the Dennery segment with 6 million views, while our local artists struggle to hit even 100,000. And what's worse, Bouillon and Vinci Soca are dominating our airwaves and fetes. St. Lucian Carnival is being carried by Asa Banton, Problem Child, and Skinny Fabulous, not us. We've gotten too stoosh. Carnival used to be for the people, an expression of resilience, celebration, and rebellion. Now it's luxury vibes, VIP sections, and imported culture. We've lost the rawness. And let's be honest, culture doesn't come from Cap Estate. It comes from Marsha, Central Castries, the very heart of where St. Lucian identity lives. We've outpriced the locals, ignored the grassroots, and forgotten the carnival spirit that once made this season sacred. So again, I ask, are they coming for carnival or just because it's St. Lucia? And an opinion, of course, shared online, and there have been many, many different opinions being put forward. This one, of course, taking aim at the issue of the music and whether, in fact, we are losing that aspect. And it's interesting because there was a time, for example, even in the case of Trinidad, where we saw a very strong St. Lucian influence in terms of Trinidadian music for Carnival. So the back and forth as to whether, in fact, it's an issue that we're seeing the likes of an Asa Banton, more bouillon music, more Skinny Fabulous, the ebbs and flows of the music. as to whether that is in fact of tremendous loss, or in fact if it is that we're maybe in an ebb and will be seeing an increase and a rise in popularity, is left to be seen. But certainly the challenge of creating at one end of the spectrum the desire to have these ultra carnival experiences. Some people don't want to sweat on the road. They want to be able to wear their costumes. Probably they want to have a handler to hold their costumes for them. They want to be on the air-conditioned buses until they actually get to the point where they need to go on stage. People are very different, and we do know that. And the point being made is that perhaps that is not the essence of Carnival. And how, of course, do you ensure that balancing act is going to be achieved is very important. Now, that said, we have seen, of course, I would say a bit of a rise in the popularity of our other fringe carnival events, if you want to call them that, and community-based carnivals happening. And it, of course, has been a challenge for the Ministry of Tourism to be able to convince some of these communities to be able to fit into the desired scheduling of the carnival calendar. And so it still is, of course, a matter where we're seeing a number of the community carnivals happening after what is supposed to be the crescendo of the Grand Carnival. I really hope that we can see how there can be better coordination in this regard, and trying to get the participation of communities as well within the main carnival. And I have no doubt that the organizers are trying very hard to be able to do just that. We're seeing, in fact, I think I saw a Lawas band on the road. We saw stilt walkers on the road. We saw a lot more steel pan on the road this year as well. Some of the bands also bringing that on. We've certainly been, after a bit of one could say a lull, we've seen a strengthening of the Jouvet experience. And of course, the importance of ensuring that people have the opportunity of seeing Carnival in the city. I did hear the statements, part of the statement being made by the Minister of Tourism regarding the question that you may be seeing fewer spectators actually coming out to view Carnival, and that's perhaps a mixed bag, of no doubt about it. The route has definitely expanded, but in as much as the route has expanded, I think, and people are looking at different points to try to take in the Carnival, it does mean that you are seeing a dispersal of people along the route. You also are seeing as well a lot of people simply just taking in the Carnival from the comfort of their homes, where they pretty much are fine with that experience as well. But the idea of, and of course, let's also not forget there are a lot of other social media options now in terms of how people are taking it in. You don't have to watch the entire thing. You can watch the highlights on Instagram or Facebook or on a reel. And there's a lot of that going on. But certainly, how do you get more of the population, of the 180,000 odd of us, as well as perhaps neighboring islands, to be able to see St. Lucia Carnival as something to be able to come in and to enjoy? And we have to also say, one of the challenges with respect to growing the carnival is also the matter of safety. And unfortunately, we saw some very negative images coming out of Soufrière Carnival yesterday, with what appeared to be fights breaking out on the Soufrière Square. And it's certainly not the kind of image, and it's not the kind of environment that anybody wants to be able to exist in. And we know that Carnival has had a tradition of raucous behavior. I remember being on I think, maybe as a boy of about maybe 8 or 9, being brought to Carnival by my sister and watching it somewhere on St. Louis Street, and a fight breaking out, and, people being pressed against the steps of buildings, grazing one's legs, and that sort of experience is can be very scary as well. And so it's definitely not something that is new, but it is something that we have to be able to do a little bit more on in terms of control. And a lot of it has to come with personal responsibility as well, and being very, very firm with dealing with people who are breaking the law. It is important that if people believe that, they can get away with something, that they will do it. And so we certainly have to ensure that people that they know that, in fact, there is going to be a consequence to antisocial behavior, to breaking the law. And that is also a very, very important matter, that you have to have the ability to lock people up if, in fact, they're doing wrong. And in fact, that was one of the justifications that we heard quite recently on the whole matter of the custody suites that was recently opened, that there has to be a place to be able to deal with rowdy people, people who are misbehaving for whatever different reasons. They need to be dealt with accordingly. And so the matter of public safety is a major one, because it has affected the ability of Carnival people to enjoy the Carnival experience. The days of seeing Carnival go up until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock are long gone here in St. Lucia. But there's no reason why we should not be able to see a return of that. And there's no reason except that we, of course, have to be able to deal with the matter of public safety and ensuring that that people can have a safe experience, whether they are a spectator, whether they are a reveler, whether they are a producer, content producer, whatever the case may be. Everybody can remain safe and get home safe at the end of the day. So there's a lot of tweaking still, no doubt, that's happening. Lots of considerations in terms of the route. How do you route individuals through the city? How can we make the route more interesting? One of the defining aspects of Carnival in Grenada, for example, is that whole experience on the Carenage, right? And the waterfront there. Dominica, similarly, on the bayfront. That is, of course, a crowning signature opportunity for views. That's what will make us different from a lot of other Carnival experiences that don't have that kind of scenery and ambience. How can we make the route more enjoyable? And, it's a very hot route. Should we be thinking about shading? Should we be thinking about stopping points where bands can actually have, potentially stop for lunch and recuperate and whatever. So that's all very, very important. And it is, of course, why we've been seeing some improvements, like around the roundabouts. Of course, the most famous Bum Bum Wall and other spots, to try to make that route more enjoyable, more interesting, more of a unique experience on the road for everybody. So there is a lot of opportunity and different segments of the market that certainly need to be looked at, and hopefully we can certainly continue to analyze that aspect. One last point on the matter of the timing of the main stage events. I think that's one of them that I suspect we've certainly been experimenting for a couple of years. The shift towards having those events the weekend before. There's also that question: is this also a sort of a loss of the creating of the vibes or aspect of Carnival? Because the large main stage, the large events, the idea of it, of course, is that you're bringing together thousands of people. You're bringing together everybody to be able to enjoy these events and to create that hype right into the parade period. And so when it's somewhat removed from the weekend before, there was a time when you would have been singing along to your favorite songs, from Friday into Saturday. And then we also had the likes of the OECS Soca Monarch on the Sunday, and then into Juve. Everybody knew the music. Everybody was, very much, driven by the hype that was created by the competition and what have you. I'm not sure necessarily that focusing that weekend purely on the fets, which does not quite always have that kind of total reach, is really necessarily going to be able to achieve or have that same impact. And when you think about a monarch competition, you should be speaking about, upwards 5,000, 10,000 people in a space. And of course, they tend to be covered live. In the case of a private party, it's a little different, not that much spread. And so maybe there is some consideration that might be given or should be given to looking at that matter of the timing of some of these large national events as we move forward. But that's my little piece here. And of course, we do hope that you can join us after the weather report. Of course, that's our dish of the day.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Boss, DOS, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, on the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and east-northeast near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. The weather fair to partly cloudy skies with brief showers this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with some light to moderate showers from tonight into tomorrow. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, fair to partly cloudy skies with a few showers this afternoon. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered light to moderate showers from tonight into tomorrow. And the tropical weather outlook, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate light to moderate easterly winds over the Lesser Antilles during the next few days. A weak surface to low-level trough system will produce occasional cloudiness and some scattered showers over the region during the next 24 hours. Also, two tropical waves located over the central and far eastern tropical Atlantic are moving westward near 6 miles per hour or 9 kilometers and 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour, respectively. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this was your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tell 'em Back.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to our program. And of course, if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And we also have the option of calling in via WhatsApp as well. Don't forget that. That is 724-0008. But we're going to go to the phone lines right now. Good afternoon. Looks like we...
Mr. George.
Hi, yes, sir. Are we there? Yes.
How are you?
I'm hearing you. Good, thank you.
All right. That was a nice piece by... How was your take, eh?
Well, part of it. I could probably say a few more words about it, but I think, I think we...
It was good. I love it. Yeah, it was, pretty good. Yeah, you see, maybe, we getting what we asked for, eh? So you remember we used to say, well, why are we spending so much money?
Right.
And what we deriving from that? Nothing is coming out of that.
Mm.
And the administrations were always at a in a situation, in a bind, sort of not being able to actually quantify.
Right.
So now, there is some metric, and we're using, number of visitors, and, you know what I mean? And,
right.
And hotel rooms, and the spin-offs, which they are being measured, so whatever is done, whatever is spent is being vindicated or justified by the returns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now, along with that now, as you so rightfully pointed out, we're losing a lot of our authenticity, and we have to, like you say, borrow from the islands who themselves now holding on to the cultural thing,
their own traditions, yes.
The Buños and
yes.
St. Vincent and Grenada.
Yes.
And they go in, they grow in. In other words, they hold on to the thing. You cap off the day, they grow in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But whereas, for the sake of satisfying that, demand there, that is to bring in the people and more income, and so on and so forth. I guess the minister and his team, they're driven by that.
Mm. But although I don't see, especially in the case of, bringing in the bouillon aspect or the music coming out of St. Vincent, I don't see that as a problem. I think it's actually a nice...
No, I'm not saying it's a problem.
Yeah. I actually love the idea that we can be that melting pot for the OECS in terms of people coming and seeing that, look, you're coming to St. Lucia. And
a lot of the people actually traveling to St. Lucia.
Exactly.
St. Lucia might have the infrastructure to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm.
Better than these other islands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah.
they're coming into St. Lucia, so Well, that's a classic case of OECS unity.
Exactly. And we used to have, that's another event that we used to have, and I'd love to see it come back, the OECS Soca Monarch.
Yeah. No, you're correct. But you all, what with certain things, I think we take into extreme. And you also pointed that out too. That's why I like the piece where you said about our events leading up to the thing. That's what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go there and you would get.
I'm not suggesting that more people come in for feds. Therefore, people not coming for our Calypso finals, our Monarch finals, our OECS finals, and Monarch, and them kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we persevere and we do these things and improve on them, we will see it with the benefits in the long run.
Yeah, and I think maybe even in terms of how some of the music is packaged from early on, you see, to get the music, I mean, for a lot of people, you have to be tied into going to the tents. And yes, and I mean, there have been some arguments, and some artists will say that, they're not hearing their music being played sufficiently in the local media. But at that same time, it has to take on a greater presence, because if half of the people who are celebrating Carnival are not even on island when the music is playing, then the big question is, how are they going to be experiencing that too? You've got to be able to ensure that it's getting that reach somehow in terms of that diaspora. I mean, it may be happening, but I think we need to push it a little bit more in that regard.
But you spoke about some artists that are way far and above in terms of views. A Jamaican artist, eh?
Yeah.
There's no carnival in Jamaica.
There is a pretty. There is now, eh? It's grown tremendously. In fact,
it's grown. Yeah.
It is.
When I was there, there was,
They now have it in April.
We are the ones who already attempted to introduce a Jamaican carnival.
Oh, okay. Well,
it give you an idea of how many moons ago I'm talking about.
Yes.
But, now you see they have it now, but that's interesting that the Jamaican artists.
You might get some Jamaican calypsos coming out soon too. You see the Jamaicans.
Exactly.
They also appropriating the other aspects of Caribbean culture.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it's been one direction, but they seem to be wanting to embrace it as well, because they're seeing the value of it and how it's reaching into the diaspora. Yeah.
So in St. Lucia should be like, maybe maybe that's our niche, and that's our destiny, to be a niche and to accept all things from outside. But the thing is, do we do that at the expense of ours?
Well.
That's where we have to be careful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We still have to attempt to improve and increase on our contribution to these things. Because you have this thing. It's an important discussion, because when you take a place like Singapore, that's what Singapore, developed Singapore a lot.
Right.
Singapore have no water, but they make themselves a sort of central place for debate and discussion on water matters, and they're well known for that. They established, and they have they don't have no water, no rivers, nothing. They have no resources, yet still they do. In the technology, they're so advanced in technology, so it's all right.
In fact, they're world leaders in water treatment.
Exactly.
To the extent that they're even talking about, how will they will treat the water so well that they can argue that it's drinkable.
There you go.
So
there you go. You see, out there, they're really advanced, you know, and they have no water.
Yeah.
But so it's you know, but they still, in terms of the culture and the mode of governance, they still don't put themselves and their ways second to any.
Yeah.
And they persevere with that. So this is where we have to be careful. So whereas we could make St. Lucia a hub, St. Lucia is strategically placed, well placed to be a hub for a lot of activity. And then we optimize that, but we have to be careful to navigate it in a manner that we don't compromise who we are, and you know, in other words, it must be reciprocal. We must reciprocate. In other words, people should be eager out there to know what we're doing in St. Lucia, as we are to have them come and show us what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can't fail in this regard, or else we'll just become a sort of state that's just where you know money alone, you know, will be the common denominator, and that is where we have to guard against that. In search for prosperity, that is not money alone that matters, you know, and then anyway, good discussion.
All right, thanks very much for that, caller. Have a good one.
That it is centered around Carnival.
Indeed.
Thank you.
In fact, there's also a debate, no doubt, as to whether we have, whether the jazz festival is now becoming more of that national, event or festival, even more so than Carnival, in terms of its reach, in terms of its geographic reach, but also in its cultural reaches. People now are saying, jazz has even brought in or the likes of individuals who are interested in gospel music. So it's an interesting balance that jazz has been able to achieve. Carnival, let's see if we can get to that point. But good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom.
It's in a very bad land.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, caller. Are you hearing us?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Carnival. I little. We had Carnival in St. Lucia, but what we had was Miss Booty dressing the people like fruits and vegetable. and then is when Stephen come, we start have Carnival in St. Lucia. You see, we call a band called that was by Belize and Falcon at the top of Grass Street.
So I didn't hear you say that again. You mentioned a band by Belize.
That was Turks.
Turks, yes. Okay, right.
And then we had Falcon.
Okay.
At the top of Grass Street, and band start coming down because it's costume. Carnival we had. They start coming like Romans, going like dressed like Romans. Costume and Carnival start picking up. But when I left, just picking up.
Right.
I went to Trinidad. Carnival.
But do you remember any
in Trinidad?
Right.
You see, let me give you a little tune. Trouble in a rima, trouble corner, trouble. I am waiting for Emsila and they boom boom, and they expect the trouble, and they go to make trouble. Very, very troublesome thing was in Trinidad. In the 50s. And when I left Trinidad, I went to England. There was no carnival. We had nothing like carnival in England.
Right.
But it's Trinidadian that left Trinidad that come to England and they live in the West.
Right.
And start the carnival in England. And they call it street party. But it was very troublesome as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the young blacks know nothing about carnival. They didn't know nothing about it, and they wasn't enjoying it. They come to spoil it. After a while, they come to grasp it, and carnival become a big thing in England. I used to play match in England.
Okay.
Yeah. So carnival, you see, is a big thing. People enjoy it, but would like to know who makes the money, especially right now. Easy. So what those people putting on them is little free. Carnival used to be costume. People dress like you see him come down with Noah's Ark, and then someone Bataria come down with to hell and back.
Well, I suppose that would have to be carnival for the night time, because people might say with climate change it's too hot. You got too much cloth.
Yeah, it could be. But it's so.
But you still see that though. You still see in Brazil, for example, you still have some of those types of bands too.
Blue Indian band.
Yeah.
Fancy sailors. Lot of sailors band.
Okay, Cole, I think, are you there?
Used to cover up.
Right.
There was, that time they didn't have no bum wall. And what I would like to know, when did the bum wall start?
Sorry, when did it start?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
Well, I think it actually started as...
Hello?
Yes, caller, yes, we hear. It actually started... You there? Yes, I was saying that you found that I suppose the revelers wanted to find something to do along the route, and so you had these elevated areas like around the roundabout. You had the what was then called Red Hill, and people would run up the hill. And
there was no bam wall there since they built J. And they start from up there.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
But
so that's
people talk about the Bambam Wall that was always there. That wasn't always.
No. I don't think people are speaking about it being always there.
Was nowhere there.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. No, certainly not. I mean, the route has changed significantly.
Anyway, I could
all right.
hear you.
I know we can.
Stop there.
We're having some challenges as well. Yes. Thanks a lot, caller. And in fact, I think originally it was more the men who would have been actually going up on the wall. Somewhere along the route, it clearly changed and has morphed into something a little different. But certainly, it's about trying to find opportunities to, to express oneself. We had the challenge, of course, of when we had that song come out, Defense. And that was pretty destructive to some degree. People take the music quite literally, and of course sometimes it can lead to some challenges as well. But that's the nature of carnival. People look for things to entertain themselves on the long route, and of course the issue about costumes and what is pageantry and what a costume should look like. I mean, it's changing and of course I think it's about how you create the balance, how there's something for everybody in the mix, and of course we've seen Tribe of 12 being one of those traditional bands that still seems to be able to win every single year. Consistently they've been quite successful in that regard. Now, I did want to touch on a little bit, maybe we'll have to do that tomorrow, on on some of the, of course, the political happenings. We've seen a new candidate being announced for the opposition United Workers' Party for the constituency of Babono. And he is Mr. Titus Leo Preville. He's a former permanent secretary. He spent quite a number of years in the Ministry of Commerce, and has also was also at the Caribbean Community for a number of years as well after his retirement from the civil service, and he is looking to be victorious in that seat that was traditionally a pretty strong United Workers' Party seat held by the late Alan Bousquet, but since then we've seen significant shifts with Kenneth David John. We've seen the likes of Felix Finisterre, as well as Alvina Reynolds of the St. Lucia Labour Party holding that seat in recent years. And it's also one of the larger seats in the island. It's a growing part of the north, where you're seeing an influx of people into that more suburbanization going on in Babonneau. So we'll have to wait and hear how that goes. Of course, he spoke at, I think, an event that was on Sunday, and already speaking on the matter of the value-added tax and some of the shifts that have already come out of that. In fact, we do have a clip, but we won't be able to play it at this time. A response from the island's Commerce Minister is trying to debunk the some of the statements and suggestions regarding the matter of the removal of VAT on a number of items, price control items, as well as food items. And of course, those changes have already been passed by the island's parliament and will be taking effect in a few days, in fact, as of August the 1st. And so, no doubt, many will be looking to see some reductions in the prices of over 70 items on the supermarket shelves in the coming days and months ahead. But of course, we'll speak to that on another day, on another program of the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be taking in our Republic Corner. That, of course, is brought a paid segment by Republic Bank Eastern Caribbean Limited. It's going to be part of tomorrow's Lunchroom. I'm your host, Alex Shaw Jr., saying goodbye.